Hey guys, Max Scoville here for Rev3 Games, and I'm here to talk to you about a very special game, a game that I'm very excited to talk about, which is Deadpool, which is of course the first game based on the Marvel Comics anti-superhero. As a super Deadpool fanboy, I've been kind of nervous that they're going to screw this up, and so far all we've seen from the game is like trailers. We haven't seen any gameplay in action. It comes out really soon, so I've been kind of nervous about this, but actually seeing the game in action, I have a little bit more faith in it. The combat in Deadpool is very straightforward. You've got melee attacks for the most part. You've got kind of X and Y for your heavy and light attacks, which are done with sais or swords or big cartoon croquet mallet hammers. And then of course you also have guns. The guns are obviously ranged attack, but they can also be used during melee combos, and you string them together and shoot a guy in the face. On top of that, you can do like kind of short range teleportation, which acts as sort of a dodge or roll mechanic. And when you're doing all these things together and you're stringing together combos, you fill up your momentum meter. And when you unleash that, Deadpool like hops around the room and stabs people in the face and stuff like that. High Moon Studios isn't going crazy with game mechanics here. They're not trying to reinvent any genres, which I think is really good, because if they tried to go down the route that Never Dead did, for instance, with the idea of a guy who can't die, having his arms ripped up and you have to go around and pick up his body parts and reattach them, which would have made a lot of sense for Deadpool as a game mechanic. Instead, they're just pretty much like, Deadpool has regenerative health, therefore he's like every other modern video game protagonist. Guns and swords and stuff are all upgradable. You get Deadpool points as you go through the game and kill enemies, and you unlock stuff. Pretty standard menu system. There are some stealth sequences which don't seem super complex. You just walk behind a guy and stab him. I do like that they are extremely over the top. Like Deadpool is diving between a guy's legs and then shooting up at him with his guns and kind of juggling him into the air, and it's like, that's not really stealthy, but sure.
You know why I love the internet? Because it's just like me.
Vulgar, combative, and contradictory.
The Deadpool game is also very self-aware. It has this wonderful kind of Looney Tunes vibe to it. You actually get bear traps that you can use as a weapon. Certain heavier enemies, you have to basically lure them into them so that you can trap them in one spot and then kind of wail on them with melee attacks. This is totally fitting because Deadpool is basically Wile E. Coyote. I mean, there is actually one comic where he's going after a Roadrunner. I think it's awesome that they're managing to inject this humor. They've got Daniel Way writing the game, and some of the trailers have made it seem a little bit forced, and while there are certain lines that I've heard playing the game that were a little bit cringeworthy, they've managed to take a very humorous approach in a way that I'm actually pretty excited about.
Smells like victory!
There is a great big sequence at the beginning where you're in Deadpool's apartment and you basically are just, being Deadpool, and you straight up just hang out and eat pizza, and you can check your voicemails. There's one sequence where he gets in a phone conversation with Nolan North, who's, again, doing his voice. The premise of the game apparently revolves around Deadpool trying to make his own video game, but it's just completely nonsensical. I'm really happy that they've managed to inject a lot of comic art into the game. Like there are, Rob Liefeld drawings as posters on Deadpool's apartment walls. The one thing that I would say is a shortcoming about this game is it lacks a certain amount of polish. Visually, it's not the most impressive game I've ever seen. It's been in the works for 2 years. It's an Activision title. I think they're just trying to push it out. But given the subject matter, this isn't a game you're supposed to take seriously, and a little bit of kind of janky visuals, I'm not too super hung up on. Obviously, I need to hold off on my final impressions until I, play the full game, but I'm feeling somewhat relieved as a Deadpool fan. It sounds like they've managed to get a lot of the humor that the comics are known for into the game, and the gameplay is satisfying enough. If you're a hardcore fan of like beat 'em ups and or platinuming Devil May Cry on extra hard mode or whatever, like this might be a little bit dumbed down for you, but it's a game about a superhero published by Activision. Like I think that's what you kind of got to keep in mind. High Moon Studios, I think they're a very, very competent studio, and I think that this game is probably going to be a good example of that. It's not going to be groundbreaking, but it's probably going to be a good amount of fun, and that's what video games are about. So, anyway, as a super huge Deadpool fanboy, I don't hate this game, yet. So we'll wait and see. I'll have my review up, sometime around the game is out, hopefully. You can stay tuned to this channel right here for the rest of our video game coverage. I'm Max Scoville. See you guys around.